What's the best joke you know? An Irish man walks into a pub. What'll you have? The bartender asks. Give me 3 pints of Guinness, please, says the man. The bartender brings him 3 pints, and the man proceeds to sip them alternately, the first one, the next one, and then the third one, until they're all gone. He then orders 3 more. Sir, says the bartender, I know you like them cold. You don't have to order 3 at a time. I can keep an eye on you, and when you get low I'll bring you a fresh cold one. You don't understand, the man says. I have 2 brothers, one in Australia and one in the States. We made a vow to each other that every Saturday night we'd still drink together. So right now, my brothers have 3 Guinness stouts too, and we're drinking together. What a wonderful tradition, the bartender says, smiling. Every week after that, the man comes into the bar and orders 3 beers. But one week, he orders only 2. He drinks them and orders 2 more. I know what your tradition is, says the bartender sadly, and I'd just like to say that I'm sorry that one of your brothers died. Oh, me brothers are fine, says the man. I just quit drinking. Guy walks into a bar and says to the bartender, I'll show you something amazing for a beer. Bartender agrees. Guy pulls out a 10-inch pianist from his pocket and sets him on the bar. He starts playing beautifully. The bartender, wowed, demands, where the hell do you find that little man? Guy says, I've got a tiny wizard in my other pocket. For another beer, you can make a wish. Bartender agrees and says, wizard, I'd like $100,000. Suddenly the bar fills with 100,000 ducks. Bartender, confused and angry, says, what the hell, mate? I didn't want 100,000 ducks. Guy responds, so, you think I wanted a 10-inch pianist? My all-time favorite to tell at parties. There was this man in Bulgaria who drove trains for a living. He loved his job. Driving a train had been his dream ever since he was a child. He loved to make the train go as fast as possible. Unfortunately, one day he was a little too reckless and caused a crash. He made it out, but one person had died. Well, needless to say, he went to court over this incident. He was found guilty, and was sentenced to death by electrocution. When the day of the execution came, he requested a single banana as his last meal. After eating the banana, he was strapped into the electric chair. The switch was flown, sparks flew, and smoke filled the air, but nothing happened. The man was perfectly fine. Well, at the time, there was an old Bulgarian law that said a failed execution was a sign of divine intervention, so the man was allowed to go free. Somehow, he managed to get his old job back driving the train. Having not learned his lesson at all, he went right back to driving the train with reckless abandon. Once again, he caused a train to crash, this time killing 2 people. The trial went much the same as the first, resulting in a sentence of execution. For his final meal, the man requested 2 bananas. After eating the bananas, he was strapped into the electric chair. The switch was thrown, sparks flew, smoke filled the room, and the man was once again unharmed. Well, this of course meant that he was free to go. And once again, he somehow managed to get his old job back. To what should have been the surprise of no one, he crashed yet another train and killed 3 people. And so he once again found himself being sentenced to death. On the day of his execution, he requested his final meal, 3 bananas. You know what? No, said the executioner. I've had it with you and your stupid bananas and walking out of here unharmed. I'm not giving you a thing to eat semicolon. I don't know what the bananas do to help you stay alive, but we're strapping you in and doing this now. Well, it was against protocol, but the man was strapped into the electric chair without a last meal. The switch was pulled, sparks flew, smoke filled the room, and the man was still unharmed. The executioner was speechless. The man looked at the executioner and said, "Oh, the bananas had nothing to do with it. I'm just a bad conductor. I went to a beekeeper to get 12 bees. He counted and gave me 13. Sir, you gave me an extra. That's a freebie. What's the difference between a hippo and a Zippo? One is very heavy, and the other is a little lighter. What did Cinderella say when she got to the ball? Makes gagging sound. I told this to my family when I was like 11. Went over well. A proctologist walks into a bank. He needs to sign a document. He tries to sign, but he pulls a thermometer out of his shirt pocket. Oh shit, some asshole has my pen. People are shocked when they find out what a terrible electrician I am. Doc, you gotta help me. I can't stop singing What's New Pussycat. Ah. That sounds like Tom Jones syndrome. Is it common? It's not unusual. What did the sign on the door of the brothel say? Beat it, we're closed. A man goes to a funeral. He asks the widow if he could say a word. He goes to the front and says plethora and sits back down. The widow leans over and whispers thanks, that means a lot. Did you hear about the man with 5 penises? His pants fit like a glove. How do you spot a blind man in a nudist camp? It's not hard. Waterboarding in Guantanamo Bay sounds like a great time if you don't know what either of those things are. 2 guys are walking down the street when they see a dog licking his balls. One guy says, "I wish I could do that." The other replies, "Well, maybe just try petting him first." 3 men went to hell, and they stood before the devil. The devil asked the first man, "What do you do for a living?" The man answered, "I was a lumberjack." The devil said, "Then we will chop your penis off." He turned to the second man, asking the same question he asked the first. "I was a fireman," said the second man. "Then we will burn your penis off," said the devil. He turned to the third man, asking the same question he asked the other 2. The third man thought about it, and finally answered the devil. "I was a lollipop salesman." A boss had 2 employees, Alice and Jack. He only needed one. But they were hired at the same time and were both equally good at their job. He couldn't decide which to get rid of. He was sitting at a bar thinking about the situation. Alice walks in and sits beside him and asks, "You seem down, what's wrong?" The boss said, "I need to either lay you or jack off." Alice says, "Well, please jack off, I'm tired. I mixed up the words jacuzzi and yakas and now I'm in hot water with the Japanese mafia." Why does the Little Mermaid wear seashells? Because she's too big for bee shells. The divorce court judge says to Mickey, "Now let me get this straight, Mr. Mouse. You want a divorce from your wife Minnie because she's crazy?" And Mickey says, "No, I never said she was crazy, I said she was fucking goofy." What's the difference between a dirty bus stop and a lobster with breast implants? One island a crusty bus station and the other is a busty crustacean. I went to the zoo and saw a baguette in a cage. I asked the zookeeper about it, and he told me it was bred in captivity. A man sat down at a bar and told the bartender, "I bet you $300 that I can piss into the cup all the way over there on the other side of the bar and not miss a single drop." The bartender said, "There is no way you can do that." "Sure, I'll bet you $300. The man then begins to undo his pants and begins pissing. He starts pissing all over the bar, spraying on the bottles and the bartender, not making a single drop in the cup. The bartender starts smiling and laughing and says, "That's it, you owe me $300. The man then gets up and walks over to the pool table and starts laughing and shaking hands with the men standing there. He walks back to bar, sits down and starts laughing at the bartender and hands him the money. The bartender asks, "Why are you laughing? You just lost the bet." The man said, "I'm laughing because I bet those guys over there $1,000 that I could piss all over you and your bar and you would still be laughing when I was done." Doctor, I swallowed a pen." "Well, sit down and write your name. I bought the worst thesaurus the other day. Not only was it terrible, it was also terrible."